A tech tycoon was called a creep for $100,000 offer to a female plane passenger. I thought this was pretty interesting. So, a tech tycoon has been branded a creep after allegedly offering a woman $100,000 to take off her face mask on board a Delta flight. Steve Kirsch took to Twitter to say he made the anonymous passenger the offer last Friday. I am on board a Delta flight right now. The person sitting next to me in first class refused $100,000 to remove her mask for the entire flight, the millionaire wrote. No joke, this was after I explained they don't work. She works for a pharma company. Kirsch accompanied his post with a selfie that showed him smiling on board the full flight. He did not disclose the destination to which he was traveling. The Post reached out to Kirsch for comment, and Kirsch is a Silicon Valley veteran who is credited with one of the first versions of the optical mouse back in 1980. He later co-founded Frame Technology Corp, which was bought by Adobe in 1995, and created the search engine InfoSeek, which was sold to Disney in 1999. His net worth was reported at 230 million in 2007, and he probably has way more money than that now. Just because if he like put money in like index funds after like the crash in 2008, he probably made back a whole bunch of money and exponentially increased his net worth, right? So he might have lost quite a lot of the 230 in 2008, 2009, but since he's like a tech guy, tech millionaire, pretty smart dude, he probably put his money back into the markets or never took it out and just added more money into the markets and then basically had that money explode. So that 230 million in 2007 probably is more like close to like a billion or almost a billion now. So in 2020, Kirsch created a research fund for potential COVID treatments, pouring 1 million into the venture according to MIT Technology Review. Hey, props to you. However, the publication reports that he has since become a skeptic about authorized COVID vaccines and has spread misinformation about the pandemic online. His Twitter feed, on which he describes himself as the truth teller and critical thinker, is complete with links to articles that are also skeptical of COVID mandates and masking practices. I will not comply at Awaken with JP. Kirsch followed up his initial tweet with a lengthy thread further explaining his interaction with the mask-clad traveler. I started the bidding at $100, the businessman wrote, and I pointed out that when she removed the mask for eating and drinking, she could be infected with one breath, so she had full disclosure. She took off her mask as soon as the breakfast was served, because everyone knows you can't get infected while you are eating. He sarcastically added before concluding, maybe next time I'll sit next to someone who had an account at Silicon Valley Bank. Sakur's Twitter thread quickly went viral, with many slamming the tech millionaire for his behavior. An entitled mansplainer. I bet the lady wished she had another seat, one social media user responded. Harassed a woman minding her own business in a confined space where she couldn't get away from you. Lovely, another charge. Kirsch was also called a creep and a noxious, arrogant fool. However, there were some Twitter users who said they would have taken up Kirsch on the offer. I wish I was sitting next to you. I'd be now about $100,000. Well, richer now, about $100,000, and I could have finally bought my daughter's dream home, one supporter stated. But I wouldn't need to be persuaded to take off the mask throughout the pandemic. I fought not to wear it. Even if it was guaranteed the person would get it, or get COVID, I'd take the 100K depending on where I was going, another declared. Airlines and airports dropped mask mandates last April following a court ruling, although many travelers continue to opt for face coverings on flights. Wow, nice clickbait headline. I agree. Got me to click on it. From now on, I'm wearing a mask hoping to bump into this guy, but seriously, I'd rather someone sneeze into my face. Okay. If his executive assistant is reading this, I'm offering $10,000 for information on his next upcoming flights. I have kids in college. $100,000 will help pay tuition. That's kind of crazy. That $100,000 will help pay, not pay for it. That's crazy. The woman was out. That was an easy $100,000 with no added risk for removing the mask. The thing that's kind of like weird to me is like she took her mask off at times to eat her food. So you're saying that you just couldn't have just left it off to collect the $100,000? I mean, depending on your situation, $100,000 is a lot of money, and you were already taking off your mask anyways. Seems kind of odd. Let's see. What I've learned the past 3 years, it takes only about 6 to 8 months to go from conspiracy to truth. Let's see. $100,000 to take off a mask? Where do I get a piece of that action? Agreed, for 100 grand, I'd take off not just the mask, I'd take off everything for him. And I'm a him. LOL. People have zero right to negatively judge this guy. He was offering to pay and he was not soliciting anything adult. So, all you uptight losers out there, lay off, get a life. The thing is, I kind of wonder if you were rich enough to offer, like, just basically anyone at random $100,000, what would people be willing to do for $100,000? I think you'd probably get people to do some really crazy stuff because, like, take for example, some areas in very bad neighborhoods. There's people out there that will literally end another person's life for a couple $100, right? Which is crazy. Like, crazy to me. You're literally tossing away that person's life and tossing away your own life and tossing away basically any connection you might have for the outside world for a couple $100. But that happens all the time. Like, it's just crazy. Mr. Kirsch, I'll remove my mask for you for $100,000, that is. Call me. I marvel at all the brainwashed people who go around with the mask still outside alone in their car, etc. Gullible beyond belief. Like, the main thing that I've never understood when it came to masking is being alone in the car. I never really understood that. Like, it was like, okay, if you're afraid about the whole COVID stuff, that's one thing. Like, if you just have that fear, whatever. But to be so afraid that you're going to catch it, so you still wear it alone in the car, seems kind of crazy to me. Let's see. How would this guy be creepy for offering someone $100,000 to take off the mask that does not work? The only one that would call him creepy would be weirdos if she kept on the mask and refused $100,000. I get it, health comes over any amount of money, but that mask nonsense. He said he would do this on his Substack. He is right. Masks don't work. Let's see. Minor businessman, I no longer wear a mask, but if others choose to, that's their decision. We'll leave it alone. The thing is, it's like, I kind of like agree with this statement. It's like if someone wants to wear a mask, let them wear a mask. If someone doesn't want to wear a mask, let them not wear a mask, right? Like it literally doesn't matter. It's like whether or not someone's wearing a baseball cap or not a baseball cap. There's no difference, so it doesn't really matter. But I mean, hey, that would be such a fast way to make 100 grand. So like I think like what like this flight was about like I think an hour or something. Let's see, how long was the flight? Mm, yeah, I think it might have been like an hour flight or 2 hour flight or whatever. Who knows, right? But think about it. Like think about making like 100 grand in like an hour. That would be so awesome. That'd be just it'd be a fun story to tell too. It's like, oh yeah, I just made $100,000 per hour. That'd be so clickbait, but crazy.